there we go. Hello, Chandana. Welcome to Pregnancy Projection, day 5.
Thank
Such
you,
a
my dear.
pleasure having you on board.
Thank you, Kiara. This entire creation is just so brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for creating this and for actually bringing this into the world.
Let's see where we go. I'm excited about today's topic. And so today's topic, I'm just going to spill the beans and let everyone know is, are you deciding your child's future? Which I guess like culturally or even just on a familiar level is such a big part of expectation and projection, and how somehow we do bring a life into existence with maybe a itty bitty side of conclusion, on the side, like he's gonna be a doctor, he's gonna be whatever, and it's quite an interesting thing that we do to ourselves. So are you deciding your child's future? Where should we start?
I just wanted to say something about what you said, when you're expecting and we're deciding our children's future, it's like that's the moment when you go into expectations, right? No wonder it's called expecting. I'm expecting a baby. I have a lot of expectations out of this expectation.
I'm solidifying into reality the future already. How fun.
Absolutely, that I'm solidifying into the future. It's almost like, you want to make sure that you create the future from your projections and your expectations of the baby, from the baby, of who you are and who you are not. So you can create this perfect creature that you happen to call yours. This is my creation. It's
so many level of insanity. I love it.
Oops, everything that product will destroy and uncreate that. I wrong good back.
Yes, please.
9 shots, boys, forwards and beyond. Yeah, there are levels of insanity that we just embrace. The moment it's like almost like I want to justify my being pregnant. I want to justify my having a baby. And I want to justify to the world, even if I've been a failure, my child is successful, so I am successful. And how much of that actually has you enforcing on your kids what they should be, instead of asking them, what would you choose to create as your life?
Oh my gosh. And it's well, insanity, fantasy, whatnot, but it's amazing how somehow in many, and I guess like in Italy it happens a lot, it's kind of like having kids is a way of, it's kind of a chance of a do-over somehow, like you have creating your future and your life in a certain way and shape and with a certain breadth of space or not, and then you kind of, like many people do have kids with the energy of like, let's amplify or let's correct track of wherever I have been. Jesus, can you imagine, being born and having all this like thing already on you? Like you're not really free to go wherever you want to, because you need to, you need to make up for mama's mistake, or you need to get the degree that dad didn't get and stuff like this, it's like a bit.
Or else keep checking it. Am I becoming like dad? Am I becoming like mom? Oh my God, I don't want to become like that. Oh, I must become like that. It's almost like referring to something to become something, instead of just exploring and playing with who am I today?
Yeah. And I'm just gonna ask you a question. I'm curious in that sense. One thing, I mean, nowadays there are a lot, even when I had my kids, there were already like apps for like helping you to choose the name, but like I never used them because it was like a little bit too much. I was like, no, let's make it easy. I'm gonna choose from like a different thing. But like even the name that you give a baby, at least in Italy, it is strongly encouraged that at least one of the names is a name of a grandpa or a grandma or an uncle or a dear one, which is, I mean, you can choose it because you like it, because it's, but choosing from the reference point and from kind of, again, the memory, like holding into a memory or projecting something, because I don't know, you can have loved Helen or Anna in your life, but that doesn't mean that you need to call your daughter Anna or Elena or whatever it is, So I don't know if it's, and then about the significance of the name and I mean, I don't know. In Italy,
Yeah.
it's a big fuss. I don't know how is it in India? Is it like significant thing?
Yes and no. Yes and no. But what you're talking about is something, in India, our culture is very similar to our culture changed a lot because we were ruled by the Britishers, right? So we come under that colonial, territorial way of being. So a lot of the cultures that are there in Europe are also very familiar to us. We also picked up similar projections. We picked up similar ways of being with family, and not nothing to be really proud of, but
You know, hopefully there's some
you
good
know
things with it. Some of them are
hopefully
not
some of
that
it is
brilliant.
good. Yeah. Yet if you look at all of it and you ask, okay, what part of this is still a contribution and what part of it can I include in my life, instead of being the total rejection of what it was. Also, if you look at let's look at the names, right? Like, when your children, you name your kids based on your grandparents or your uncle or somebody like that. There's so much of there's so much of a need to sorry, but my little baby wants to be here with us.
Ah, don't worry, baby. You're
So he's like, you're talking about parenting, can I be here?
here. Show you. Oh,
So when we have names, when we have something like that happening in the culture, how much of that is perpetrating the past onto your kids so they can be controlled?
yeah, I know.
And
And it's
everything that
actually
brought up, yeah. Can we
right and wrong,
just
good
go
and
and
bad for the
uncreate that?
Buckle Night.
Yes,
Short
please.
boys, Papa
Yes,
and beyond. Yes, please.
totally.
When like when I had my kids, I remember that like um there were people that were like, they're my grandma, and I adore her. She's such a great inspiration in anything in my life. She was
Mhm.
mentioning, she was like, your grandpa's name was a nice name, and she was just mentioning it casually, not really much of an enforcing thing. And I just remember I was like, I would rather not have any cover, like the cover albums, instead of the real Guns N' Roses, you get the cover. I was like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
would like to give them a brand new name that has kind of a lightness or a spark
Mhm.
for me, that is an invitation, and then they're going to choose whatever. And I've been looking at I love languages, and I've been studying Greek and Latin as a
Oh, wow.
kid and stuff. Well, not kid, but high school, etc. So I was looking really at more of what the meaning of the name in a way.
Mhm.
But then I recall that when I chose them, and each one of my kids has two names, I was also like really working on, okay, all the, for example, Felix, everything that Felix means to me, or everything that Felix has been, or everything that is around this name. Let's just try and uncreate it. And it was a bit a way of like, I don't know, it's like passing on something, but like deep cleaning it before, in a way. You pass on a t-shirt to your friend, but you make sure that it has no stains, that it has no, it's perfectly nice and has a good perfume, etc., etc. So it was just like looking at how, to kind of get rid of the past and just give
Yeah.
it, like, this is your shirt, use it as you please.
Yeah.
It can be a rug, or it can be, I don't know, a dress, or whatever you want somehow.
Yes. Yes.
um
Also,
but
it's also a way of identifying yourself. It's a way of it's like a way of projecting an identification on your children so they know what's expected of them. It's a very silent, energetic projection of an identification. So wherever they go, they can identify themselves based on their name, on their surname, on their religion, on their culture. So they know what's expected of them, so they can judge themselves to be right or wrong.
oh my gosh, everything that is, can we destroy it or create
Yes.
it? Right and wrong, good and bad, for the buckle, night shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. And I actually am so grateful that actually, I was saying that you brought your furry baby, but I think
Yeah.
he kind of jumped on. It was
He
like,
just jumped on. He's like scratching at my leg, and I'm like, not right now. And I was like, okay, you want to be here? Come.
sure.
This is
But it's
just
amazing how it's phenomenal how with kids. Oh, okay. Sorry, you froze for a second. You
oh, did I
good?
freeze? Is it my
Okay, no,
network?
it's good.
Should
It's
I
good.
change?
No, no,
Yeah,
it's
it's good.
perfect.
Okay. Okay.
You were.
Yeah.
I was just looking at how much like my sense is that kids would spontaneously be way more similar to animals than how we make them into humans somehow, and we just like teach them to make things significant.
Mm-hmm.
And like education is so, I don't know, like it's such a milestone of living in the society and community and
Yeah.
family you live in, where I don't know, like I really with your dog there was this energy of like, oh, I'm gonna be here, hi, and it's just like being. He doesn't kind of expect or project anything. I'm sorry, he's gonna be
That's
very
just
cute, but very naughty,
that's just who he is. Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. That's beautiful.
very Italian, but very noisy too. So it was like, sorry.
No, no worries. Along with when you have an identification based on your name or culture or your surname or your anything like that, a lot of it is are the ingredients to creating a predetermined reality. It's almost like, these are the ingredients that go into the recipe for creating a predetermined reality. Okay, now based on that, what are we creating? And based on that, what decisions can I take for my child? And based on that, does it match? Does it not match? Instead of being, there's this space of, okay, if there was no predetermined reality, if there was nothing that really I could identify myself or the child with, who can I be with him and what would he like to be?
Yeah, totally.
Right on the back of our line shots, boys, forwards and beyonds.
This willingness to be so undefined, I would say he's both so vulnerable and so brave at the same time,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
requires you to be present,
Yes.
like nobody's business. And
Yes.
to so many people, presence is very intimidating. It's like, no, I want to be able to check out. I want to be able to, be as everybody else, as if it was easier, or as if it was like it implied less effort in a way,
Mm-hmm.
when really maybe that's not exactly the case.
Yeah. Maybe being present is way easier and creates more ease than it is to actually check out. Because every time that even the children learn to check out at such an early age, it's like something going on that's not ease for them. Every time that we force them to make a choice based on our decisions, how often do the kids just check out? Because that's not what they're really choosing, but they're like, okay, I'm just going to do that just to keep peace at home. So they're
Totally.
not even, and that's when they find themselves at the effect of their choices instead of really creating something with their choices. Because to begin
Totally.
with, the choice is not theirs. To begin with, the choice is somebody else's, the decision is somebody else's. And now they think, they believe that they have to do it. So mom should be happy, dad should be happy, there should be no fights, no tantrums, and no conflicts.
Yeah. And I was looking at how, like, the difference between, like really the difference between easier and easy, or ease and familiar in a way. Because if checkout is an energy that you grew up with, then it might be a go-to that you just, automatically drift to. But that doesn't necessarily create ease. It's just a familiar energetic position that you saw everybody around you adopting, so you just adopt it too, being like, okay, so in this situation. And I just see, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a certain topic that people brings up, like, I don't know, money, or I don't know, whatever, like family things. And as a kid, and we do have this beautiful process that is biomimetic and biomimetric mimicry,
Yeah.
that takes care of that dynamically. But we just fake till we, we fake it till we make it. We just fake what everybody does.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we're the same in a way.
Yeah. And also every time that you check out, there's a lot of avoiding going on there and defending. There's a lot of avoiding. Like, I don't want to do this. Let me just avoid it. While defending that, okay, I just got to do it because else mom will lose her temper, else there will be a conflict. So there's so much of avoiding and defending, which, you justify by checking out.
Totally.
You think it's serving your purpose. And as you said, it makes it easy for you, you think, but it's really just the comfortable space that you go to. It's just a go-to. It's like literally a coping mechanism that you've trained yourself to be around people who don't get you, around people who abuse you, around people who have insane points of views, around situations where you think you are, you're helpless or you're choiceless,
Totally.
So everywhere that actually you've gone to. So everything that you're avoiding and defending, with justifying the predetermined reality that you're choosing, would you destroy and uncreate that?
Yes, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, para life, short voice,
yeah. There's so much of avoiding and defending about the decisions that you've made, the predetermined reality that you've created based on the decisions for your children, for yourself. And, that actually doesn't allow you to look beyond that. Keeps you stuck.
And there's so much also being involved in the result in a way that I think really messes with us massively. Because looking at the energy of the word, of the verb deciding, and it kind of has a conclusion inside. I mean, it's not like making it available. It's not like a menu of choices and you get to choose or not choose, because you can sit in a bar and not have anything. That is also a choice. I mean, it might not be the most popular choice for the person that is running the bars, but still it is a choice.
Yes.
And deciding is rather being very fixed in the result and having something in mind that if it doesn't show up that way, or in the range of the ways that you have decided being acceptable, then you're going to be disappointed. Or you would consider you or the other person a failure, which is a huge judgment.
Huge judgment, yeah.
And unkindness as well.
Totally. And how much of that fear of failure is actually being projected at your kids as their future if they don't choose what you think they should choose?
My gosh. And it's just, we started with the pregnancy conversation, but we could completely go in the realm of parenting. And oh my gosh, can you just imagine, I don't know if it's a big thing, but I know in many, many countries in the world, the choice of a school is people move to go in a better neighborhood for their kids to attend a better school.
Yes, absolutely. That
a better school, which is already a judgment. I mean, it's like
and it's also a judgment that your child wants to go to a school. Did you even ask, do they want to be homeschooled? Do they want to go to school?
Totally.
Yeah. So there's just so many projections from the moment you get pregnant, from the moment you see that kid and you go into positive, you're like, oh, I must be more responsible. I must be more serious. Fun time is over. I'm going to become a parent. So it's almost like you go into rejection, cut out, become what is the right thing to be, which is a responsible, strict mama.
And if you think you're mortifying your very being in doing that, it's insane. I remember, and it hasn't been all the time easy and doing. It hasn't been easy all the time. It has been easy, but not easy. I had my kids when I was young, for Italy. I had my first kid when I just turned 21, and it was so interesting to see how people would be not have ease with the fact that I would be responsible, and in the meantime have a lot of fun with my kids. So I would be I don't know, young in a way, young and vibrant, and not buying into the lies of, responsibility, cutting out the fun or cutting out the being that you are, but also be
Yes.
like, like pick up your dish, whatever, the things that I think that, I don't know, that you teach your kids because you want them to learn to be able to provide to themselves, which means, I don't know, keeping clean, keeping the space you live in as a comfortable space, whatever, taking care of yourself, just basic stuff now. And I know that people would project at me like, oh, you're too young, you don't know. And I was like, it's my kid, you don't know, like
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
nobody asked you, but by the way, here it is.
Yeah.
but,
Right.
but like it's amazing how really we mortify our being in order to, and I was thinking about how sometimes people see a kid as an occasion to do a do-over and finally fit in, finally be normal or appear
Yes.
normal.
And to finally have someone who they can own, and they can say that she's mine. It also often, I mean, how often do moms and dads or a woman just want to have a baby so she can actually hang out with other people who have kids, or
Oh,
there's just so much that goes in there, which it could also be simply because that's the right thing to do, the right age to do, or my biological clock is ticking, and now if I don't get pregnant, I can't have a baby. So there's so much of all of that which actually is being projected at you for having a baby. That how often do you really, I mean, how many people out there are getting pregnant because of the projections being put on them instead of choice of having a baby.
totally. Oh my gosh, it's almost like this reality project massively that is a necessity of, it's a necessary element of a successful, well lived, worthy life.
Yeah.
And maybe one question, and it might be a little bit intimidating at first, but like that we could really ask ourselves is, what is my reality with that?
Yes, that's a lovely question. What is my reality with that? And another thing that just popped while you were talking, and thank you for this conversation because it's bringing this funny little pieces into my awareness right now. I remember in school we had a lesson in biology, and in the chapter was called the reproductive system. So
That
basically,
chapter.
yeah, the chapter was called the reproductive system. So everything about the reproductive system that you studied, so everything had a purpose, right? Your ovaries had a purpose, your uterus had a purpose, your vagina had a purpose. And if it wasn't serving the purpose of having a baby, what do you have it for?
Jesus, it is crazy. It's true. I mean,
It's
thank you for.
true.
I
Yeah.
never saw it that way. It is insane. Oh my
It is insane, right? Yeah, and everything that brought up, right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, online shots. I was like, wow, that's how early it went back to the projections. Way before you even came to age of having a baby, you were like what, 13, 14, studying and,
God. Yeah.
reading or opening an encyclopedia and, asking, what is this big bag? And you were told, oh, that's the uterus. That's where your baby will go. So already it's projected at you that you're going to have a baby and that's where the baby will be, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like everything seems to have a job.
Yeah. And the empowerment of like, what is your reality with your uterus? What
Yeah,
is your reality with your
yeah.
vagina? Nowhere to be found. It's just like,
It's just not there, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I was wondering in how many ways the topic of pregnancy, parenting, it is all somehow bastardized, so it fits into the statistic, like the predictable reality
Hmm.
rather than
Yeah.
possibilities. And what would
Yeah.
your reality be like with kids? And sometimes your reality might be strongly contested in a way. I know that when I started to homeschool my kids, my dad specifically, my mom kind of trusts me. She's kind of scared, but she kind of trusts me too. She's like, you're so different. but I see that it works. So she's a little bit
Mm,
more, in a way, respectful of what I am creating. That she would never
yeah.
choose. She's also like, she said, when I choose like to have three babies or to homeschool them or to live off of the year in Europe and off in South America, she'd be like, I would never choose it. I would even never consider it somehow. But I see you're making it, so it is possible, I guess. And I know that when some choices that are your reality, for example, homeschooling, in my case,
Hmm.
one of them is strongly opposed by some members of my family,
Yeah.
that in a way you would kind of hope they would, oh sorry, that they would support you and encourage. Sorry guys, I don't know. But it's, even if it's not like popular or acceptable or uh like that it cannot be validated by other person, what
Yeah.
if it's still your reality anyhow, and you don't have
Yeah.
to please anyone with what you choose.
How
And
beautiful is
either,
that? Thank you,
and
Kiara. Yeah.
no, thank you. It's just that
That
you
is
don't
so
even
beautiful.
want to offend
Yeah.
them. My dad always takes
Yeah.
it like, why don't you send them back to school? And I'm like, they don't want to. They almost finished this year's program and the year has not started yet. And I'm really happy that I can travel with them or do something else. So it works
Mm,
for us. It is sustainable.
mm,
And but when you choose out of the normal or the statistics in a
mm.
way, people think that you're like going against the system. It's
Yes.
just that you're creating a different system that works for you, that is sustainable for you. um
Yeah. Yet you got to be strong enough to trust. You got to have the strength to trust your knowing, because when
mm,
you go against a system, in your world, you're not really going against a system. You're just choosing what works for you. But this reality looks at it as you're going against the system because you're not abiding with what they told you is the right way of parenting. And often they look at
yeah,
you as a traitor of this reality, or they look at you as a wrong parent or as a bad mama. And how much of that, how much strength is required in those 10 seconds to be the space of, this is my reality. So your child energetically hears that too, because your child also is being projected at, why aren't you going to a regular school? What's wrong with you? Can your mom not afford it? Or are you not intelligent enough? Or do you have a
exactly.
problem? Or all that. All of that starts to get projected at the child. So
Yeah,
you're being the strength of knowing that this is what works for me and this is what's working for the child. Has the child embracing what's true for him, why not fighting this reality, but having this reality working for him? you
totally.
know it's it's really not about teaching the child that this reality is wrong, everything's bad, look for your reality. It's and because that now they've got to learn to live with this reality, because they've got to learn to create with this reality. So it's really about, hey, what is your way? What's true for
Totally.
you? What would you like to choose? How would it work for you?
You brought this up so beautifully, and this energy of like you knowing, and there is
Yeah.
such a sense of like peace and also like kind of relentless pursuit of, I know it, like having like really strengthening the backbone of your knowing,
That.
and be
Yes.
like, I know where and I guess it's such like a crucial difference. It's like, the energy of being a leader or being a boss, and kind of
Yes.
a boss shouts constantly to to, you don't know who you're talking to, or
Yeah.
it's kind of wants to enforce his power over the
Mm-hmm.
others, where the leader doesn't really care if someone
Yeah.
follows him or not. He's more like, I'm going to go
True.
there, that's what is going to happen. If you want to come along, you're so invited. If you don't want
Yes.
to, I'll see you when I'm come back, whatever, I'm fine. And what
Yeah.
would it take? That is kind of a little bit my ask with this conversation, but also like out there in the world. What would it take for parents to know that they know, and they might have cover it up with some other things and whatever. We all have stories, we all have valid justification not to choose us, but like, what would it take, like, if you were the most valuable product in your life,
Yes.
what empowerment would that be for your kid and for everyone around you as well, even though it's a judgeable offense in this reality, which
It is. And with parenting, it's just so, there's just so many do's and don'ts. There's just so many ways that have been, been told to you by the so-called, by those who have, that we have defined as knowing more than us, like, doctors or educationists, or the counselors out there or whatever, who's supposed to know what your kids require, the nutritionists who are supposed to know what your kids need to eat. Yeah, it's a great way to actually get information from them and then ask, what part of this is true for my child?
Totally.
Like, educate yourself about what is required by your kids, educate yourself about what is true for you. But don't make that your reality. Ask, is any of this true for me?
And it's beautiful because when you say it, it's like, oh, I'm shopping for my reality. I'm gonna have this element.
That.
I'm gonna have this one. I'm gonna take that, but not too ripe because I'm not using it today. I'm gonna use it tomorrow. And it's more like, oh, I'm gonna, and pick whatever works for me, and the rest, maybe I'll come for more tomorrow. You're giving yourself the permission of being like selective, but not in a sense of like pushing away something, but just choosing what will work for what you're cooking today, in a way, for what the painting that you're painting your life with today. Not
It's all about inclusion, right? If we get to exclusion to get it right, we won't. If we get to exclusion to get it right, we've all already gone into separation and rejection, but if you actually be the inclusion with parenting, with the kids, and if you actually show them a different way that's possible with inclusion, how different can this planet be? How different can your choices be? And what would you choose as a parent? And what could your kids choose as their future?
Totally. Oh my gosh. This conversation is, thank you. It's just touching something about like this, like showing what is available, the many, and it's really not from polarity, it's just from choice and exposing to different choices, and just, I don't know, kind of gifting to your kids and to yourself the energy of anything is possible. What would you like to choose?
What would you like to choose?
And imagine growing up with that sense that everything is possible. What leaders will they be?
Yeah. And knowing that every choice they make creates a future.
Totally. One question that I asked my kid that I found even a little bit threatening, but that I still love, it's like, what are you creating with that? And but I get that sometimes you can say it like in an accusing way, like, what are you creating with that? Like, like, you're not creating something that is working.
Something that's something I don't approve of.
Exactly. What are you creating with this?
Yeah.
But also it could also be like with, and I love that a question is from a space of curiosity, it's not from a space of conclusion, like, oh, what are you creating with that? Like, just like, I don't know, I have no clue. Is it, I mean, when they're kids, when they're drawing or playing with Lego or stuff, and you're like, oh, what are you doing? And it could be a T-Rex, it could be a town, it could be something that eats only spicy food, you don't know, you're like, oh, what is that? Right. And you're willing to be surprised and to just be involved in that magical story that they're telling themselves, or that they're inventing and creating in the moment.
Totally.
So,
and everyone wants to have, parents, when they have their children, everyone wants to see them as a Bill Gates and a Steve Jobs, and they are like, my son's going to be the next Steve Jobs, mine's going to be the next Albert Einstein.
Those poor
mine's
babies.
going to make me famous. Mine's going to make me famous.
And they just want to look the sword in the stone with their finger up their nose and be like there and be like,
right? Like, who the hell is that? Why would I want to be that? I just come here to be me.
Exactly. Exactly. Now move away. I'm watching the sword in the stone.
Right.
Totally. Oh my gosh. And what a gift it is to just Oh my gosh. And Chandana, I'm seeing that we're kind of getting in a moment that we might be closing up soon, but I just wanted to share you are a conscious parent, conscious kid facilitator.
Yes.
And I might add a spectacular one. I had the privilege to enjoy a class with you and your daughter, and it's been like so empowering and fun. And you know what else, and I'm really happy that we get with this conversation to just involve one of the many aspects in which we can use the tools of access that are non-invasive, empowering tools that do not require you to like use any like belief systems of reference. You just need to trust you, not trust anyone that anyone else tell you, but trust you. And those tools are specifically designed to bring up an energy and put you in connection with you. And I just want to say that because I know that there are so many, I don't know, like movement where you need to follow the steps. And this is not access consciousness. Access consciousness is, I mean, there could be steps, but you could be entirely different. So maybe you don't step, you hop, or you fly, or you leap like a frog. So whatever your rhythm is, go with that. And, you know, and here are some tools that can empower you to go where you want to go.
Yes. Yes, totally. And just being in the question, Kiara, if I can say that here, you know, with the moment of knowing that you're pregnant, what if you could be in the question every moment of every day, asking, you know, what does this child know, that's this being know that's chosen you? What has the being chosen you for that it can't do and be alone? What, you know, what can you as a family create together that you can't singly or separately?
Totally. And what can you also receive from this kid? Because we all like, as caregivers, so often we see as like the giving energy, but we're receiving so many information and so much, you know, caring and fun, and just we're receiving so much from them. Like
totally. Totally. I mean, how much are we receiving that we don't even acknowledge, because we've made parenting all about responsibility and giving. You know, so it's like, what actually are you receiving that you are not willing to receive, that doesn't allow yourself to be the gift for your child?
Totally. And it's oh my gosh, yeah, I think we can stay here and talk for hours, which we might someday.
We totally someday can. I can't wait to do that with you in person.
It's a date. I know it, Chandana. We're gonna have a coffee, and it's gonna be a long Italian coffee.
It's going to be a nice long Italian coffee.
Exactly. No, me too. Thank you so much. I'm really so grateful for this conversation. And I'm gonna ask you like in a private message or something, all your the places where people can find you and your upcoming class and everything else, because I'd love to, you know, make it available for everyone watching this video.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much thank you for the joy you bring to the planet, and thank you for bringing a different possibility out there. Truly grateful.
Let's see.
Yay!
Thank you, Chandana. Thank you.
Thanks, my love. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.